Hello? Check, check. I still cannot hear anybody in the meeting room.
Hello.
Oh, I got that. I got Brian.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes, great.
Okay, so did you, so you want to ask your question again, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Is there a reasonable alternative to having the excavator enter and travel through the Chicago River? If you can reach it like from a road or something like that?
I know Brian Cowden from Troutscapes is also on the line, but that is the first alternative we looked at. The reason that we went with the alternative that is on the current iteration of the plans is because that's actually going to be a lot less disturbance. And Brian, feel free to chime in here. I see you just unmuted.
Yeah, but I didn't quite hear the question. It had something to do with access. I'm sorry.
Is there an alternative to the excavator like entering and exiting through the Chicago River?
Well, we could do that. The town would have to dismantle the guy wires and the it's along the road there to keep people from getting into the river, and then we'd have to cut down a bunch of trees. That's the only way to get in. Otherwise,
and construct a temporary road to get down the bank.
Right.
So the
Either way, you're driving on a bank to the river. You know, regardless whether it's the Chippewa or Kirby Brook, you would have to enter. We have to get into the stream with the excavator.
and it's it's sort of counterintuitive, but the actual impact to the stream bed from driving the excavator through there is minimal. And Brian can speak more to that.
To be non-existent, you wouldn't know we were in the river with the excavator, that's for sure. I don't know how many of you folks were on inland wetlands when we did the culvert removal at Curtis Brook, but the excavator was in the stream the entire time for that process. I wasn't involved with the permitting, so I didn't get to meet you folks then. It's just a project, that we're going back to do some additional work in because Curtis got hit with basically a 500-year storm event not long ago, and it's widened by more than 50%. So we have to do some bank work there. But I think Rory Lawson from Steep Rock Preserve has been in front of you on regarding that. Excuse me.
There is quite a lot of invasive knotweed that is where the excavator wants to enter into the river.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to prevent any of that from going into the river and traveling downstream once the excavator enters the river?
Mike, you want to take that?
Sure. So the first thing we're going to do is the area that we're using as an access. We're going to cup the knotweed back to grade. Then we're going to have, as that access is in use, we're going to have people stage downstream. So if they see any tissue with nets, basically, we've got a whole squad of summer interns that can help with this. So basically, if they see any tissue or anything that looks like it might be knotweed tissue coming downstream, the idea is to grab that. So maybe a piece or two gets by, but we're going to have, I think some safeguards in place to, minimize it if there's any at all.
Okay. So we're still looking for a detailed sequence of construction. We have your detailed sequence of construction, but we don't have it from the contractor. Has the contractor been selected yet?
So
Brian is
the contractor, and that sequence that's in the most recent plan set is from Brian.
Is ours, yes. We're just so you know, we're Troutscapes River Restoration LLC. That's the name of the company.
So they have answered a lot of our questions on this plan.
Larry did the report, right? There must have been the,
Yeah, I don't have to report.
except to address it. Essentially, this was,
It would be, the summary would be in this, in the, enforcement report.
Right.
Or the administrative report, whichever one I did.
Larry, have you had a chance to review this?
I did. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I did, Bob. I went back over it. You know, I just, I'm just, for some reason, I'm having a tough time understanding, and I know these guys explained it to us a couple of times, why it doesn't make any sense to redirect the flow of the stream and create a channel for that excavator, and rather than have it operating on actively flowing water. Well, I just, you know, to minimize the amount of potential turbidity and disturbance downstream. But you know, I mean, I remember that when that was discussed on site, and then we had a follow-up discussion about that. And it had to do with square footage and the weight is dissipated. Is that correct?
That is correct. I mean, just, you know, the short version is that it adds a considerable amount of expense to the project to mitigate what really is a transient minor impact. And Brian can speak more to that.
Yeah, we're working in something that's less than 20 feet wide. Okay, it's a very, very narrow place. My excavator exceeds half of that width. Okay, so where do I put the channel and for how long? And then how do I swap it back over without coming out, going back up the Chippewa, getting out on the bank, walking back down the road of the excavator and trying to divert it on the upstream side of the culvert? You're talking about a lot of excess time and effort and more impact to the surrounding area. We work in what's called in the wet all over the nation. It's a very common practice. And we did so already in Steep Rock Preserve on Curtis Brook several years back when we removed the culvert there. It is a temporary disturbance, 100%. But think of it like a nasty summer thunderstorm, right? And everything flashes, it gets brown, and then 20 minutes later, it starts to clear up and it's gone. Plus, we're working in Kirby Brook, which is significantly smaller than the flows of the Chippewa. So even if we have some turbidity coming out of that last, whatever it is, 40 feet between the culvert and Chippewa,
Right.
it's not going to significantly do anything to the Chippewa's turbidity. You'll notice it for a little bit hanging on river left downstream, but eventually it'll be overcome by the clean water mixing with it. I can't close my eyes and picture exactly how the Chippewa looks downstream, but I know I've walked down, and I think it stays on that left bank for a while. Kirby Brook, that is.
Correct. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I encourage you to come watch us work when we do get into the river. You know,
I will.
it'll help you a lot, because I think you're going to see a lot more of these kind of projects. You know, there's talk about something on Bee Brook. I think that's Washington Township, right where it enters the Chippewa, and that's with Steep Rock Preserve as well, and some other things. Canoe Brook, right in town, right behind the municipal building. In fact, that there's going to be a project there to remove an old culvert and to back up the stream so brook trout can get above a water control structure that feeds the fire control pond. So things of those nature. So, you know, we want you to be comfortable with our work and understand what we do. So.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
note that your anticipated project time is 3 to 4 continuous days once the machine and the rock are mobilized. So you say once the machine and the rock are mobilized. So from actual start to completion, realistically, what are you looking at?
That's what we mean, 3 or 4 days. 5. It could take as many as 5. If it works out and we have permits for both, we'll then walk the excavator up that Tower Road. I forgive me, I don't remember the name of it. Yeah, and then go up to Curtis and do a one-day project at Curtis. So that would be an additional day, but that wouldn't impact the park as much as working around Kirby. So
How soon do you anticipate being available or being ready and capable of starting this project if you did obtain the permit?
typically 2 weeks. We sometimes we can get there earlier, but we typically like 2 weeks to mobilize. And my business partner has to get a flight and fly out, things of that nature. Get our operators lined up, make sure that they're not on another project. So that's the answer. I think we have to be done by October 1 typically. I don't
September
know if
30, yeah.
Yeah, September 3rd. Yeah, meaning out of the river on October 1. So,
Yep.
and that's for trout spawning.
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you were going to take, that precautions will be taken during this process for any kind of erosion, sediment and bank erosion and so forth. Could you just talk a bit briefly about that, or just what those are, just if you don't mind?
Well, no, I mean, we're only going to be entering and exiting the, well, let me take that back. On Kirby Brook, we're going to walk through a level upland forest without having to remove vegetation, to remove a large down tree that's in the channel above the culvert.
Right.
And then I was just there last week, and there's a significant change to the site. There's a lot of new woody debris against the culvert, and the entire left channel, which is where the flow normally is fairly blocked with sediment. So we'll be moving that sediment from the left side to the right side.
And how was the water flow when you were there from Kirby Brook?
It was on the inside and it was low flow. I was there. Michael, do you remember what day I was there? Was it Wednesday? I think.
Week ago Monday.
Oh, it was Monday. You're right. It was a week ago Monday. I was there. I met Rory at Brook, and then I stopped at Kirby. And I stopped at Kirby just to make sure that I knew whether or not we had to remove any vegetation, and had told you in the past we didn't believe we had to remove any. But we now have 3 very small trees that are still attached to the Bright Bank, or they were a week ago Monday, and they're down. They're into the Chapong. They're laying down. So those will remove, and we'll get Rory to haul them off out of the area if they're even still there when we do the permit. So they could have launched in the last rainstorm. I don't know.
Do you have your permit from the DEEP?
Yes,
Yes.
and Michael, you can speak to the 2 permits.
They had concerns of the Rapids Clubtail and the wood turtle.
Right, for the National Diversity Database assessment. Yes, that's another reason why we can't dewater. Definitely not in Kirby Brook, and it's inadvisable in the Chapog too. I forgot to mention that earlier, but that's another important reason that we're not dewatering.
Yeah, that species requires flowing water apparently. I've dealt with other endangered or threatened dragonfly, but not this particular one. They all have different requirements.
Okay. On the plans, I did not see a topsoil holding place. Are you going to be hauling anything off site?
No, we don't have any soils that have to be removed from the job. That's why you don't see that.
Does the
Rocks added, but not material removed.
does the enforcement officer like check the machine before it goes in the spot? Like just thinking about mud and debris that might get carried into it.
Yes, the machine if it's been steam cleaned before it enters.
Yeah.
Yes, we do steam clean. We call it Forest Service clean. Our machines are all delivered steam clean.
And then I saw your point, I think it was 10 and 11 under erosion, that taking precautions about spill of any chemicals and oils and things. Will you have anything on site? Just God forbid something like that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we have booms that there'll be it's called a Pigolog, interesting company name, but it's a boom that floats and it'll be draped behind or around, if you will, the excavator while it's in Kirby Brook. God forbid there's a hydraulic leak, let's say, it would capture any of that, flowing downstream. So also we have a yellow bucket, the paint's all worn off it, but it says oil spill kit on it, or used to. Inside of that is everything we need to deal with a spill, and that comes with me wherever we go with any heavy equipment that's in the river. So. You won't miss it, a big yellow bucket that'll be there. It's a garbage can is what it is, big yellow.
Bruce, would you like to chime in on this? Okay. I think most of your questions can be answered.
Yeah, I feel better.
Larry?
I think the questions that I had, Bob, were answered or at least flushed out a little bit more.
Okay. Okay, just,
Um,
there's a few conditions that need to be met on this. As I read, that Tunnel Road is going to be closed, so we're gonna need to address this to the selectmen.
Okay.
And it'll be a condition of approval that they need to contact the selectmen at least a week ahead of schedule. Also,
Huh.
Are you still anticipating the guardrail to be removed off the bridge?
No,
No, I don't think we need it. In fact, I'm even thinking out loud now about closing the road. We might be able to just do what we have to and keep the road open. You know, there'll be a 5-minute period where we're moving the machine across from one side to the other, but we can handle that traffic flow. I mean, it's a very slow road and we have safety vests and cones and anything that need to be used for that. But given the
we'll also
fact
have a
now,
lot of hands to help with directing traffic if it comes to that. So
yeah.
Good to close it.
So I'm thinking now, I don't think we need to close the road. We were hoping to do all of our work on the upstream side of the culvert from the bridge, but with that large tree that has deposited itself in the stream channel above that needs to be removed, I now have to go up there and remove that and take material from river left where the thalweg, the deepest part of the channel, wants to be, and move it back to the right so that it goes into the culvert on river left as designed for low flows. And therefore, I'm going to be working above the culvert in the channel, don't have to be on the road perched.
How the,
So
that was gonna be taken off site?
Yeah, yeah, they said there's-
Oh, yeah, where's the knotweed stems that you said you're cutting it down flush to the ground? Where are those? Those are just being taken off site?
yes, we'll get those off site. Generally what we do with knotweed tissues, we put them in black contractor bags and let them cook in the sun for a week or so, and that generally kills them dead.
Okay.
And we'll do that up at our office.
Have them notified.
Wait, I'm sorry, when you said up in your office, where's that?
Cornwall Bridge.
Oh, okay.
So we'll bag them on site in black contractor bags, tie up those bags, and then haul them up to the office to let them sit in the sun.
So the only condition I can think that we need is that they would need to contact the first selectman at least a week ahead of schedule before work is to take care.
IWC chair.
I think that would still be in a photo journal. I would like to see a photo journal and the enforcement officer and the chair be on site to be notified the day they're going to start or prior to starting. Daily. Else?
You want us on site at the commencement of work or before?
Well, you're gonna have to check the start card, and then I think the day that the work is starting, actually.
Okay.
going to start.
Yeah,
Okay.
checking the machine, I think.
Larry, are you good?
yeah, we don't have anything in the sequence of the construction sequence for that work that'll be on the in Kirby Brook, right? To remove that debris, or do we? I don't see it.
You may not because it wasn't there.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, in our line of work, everything we're talking about today could be undone by Mother Nature tomorrow. You know, that's just the nature of what we do. That tree wasn't there when the design was done several years ago. It wasn't even there last time I was up before last week. And now, I'm seeing all sorts of new debris and changes to the channel to correct with.
There's a sense that it's not really in there, but clearly, and that'll be something that you'll observe. Yeah. Okay.
Does that debris get taken off site, or is it just set to the side, like up bank of it?
That tree looks like a really large old oak tree, if I had to guess, and it's fairly rotten down, but it's big. So I'm inclined to, rather than trying to run a chainsaw through it, because it's probably waterlogged, I'm inclined to put it up in the floodplain and let it become salamander habitat. I think that's its best life from here on.
Sounds good.
And for permit purposes, would you need a 2-year or a 5-year permit? How often do you come back to check?
Oh, 2-year would be fine. If anything, nothing should go wrong, but if it's gonna go wrong, it's gonna go wrong with the first rain event.
Well, okay, let's think
That's
about
up
this for a
to-
second. I
yeah.
guess if there's not any additional what's the right word? um uh, bureaucracy required to go with the 5-year permit. I mean, maybe that is just
Just for
better in
safety.
case we do have to come back and do a repair. I'm sure we'll want to do monitoring too, which none of that would be invasive or cause any impact at all, but it's maybe nice to have the permit in place while we're doing that. But would defer to the commission's opinion on that. Is there any functional difference in the process with a 2-year versus a 5-year?
Only if you modify it.
Okay, yeah, which we wouldn't, unless something
Be any type of
happened that we can't
modification.
anticipate. But
If there's gonna be any type of modification, that you have to do to what is being approved, then you have to come back to us with that
Sure.
modification,
of course, yeah.
Or
Yeah, that makes total sense.
that permit.
Mhm.
Okay, if everybody is good with this, let's move on it. I feel fairly comfortable. They've explained themselves
Mhm.
over the last few meetings, and we have all this information. So, I know this is a hard one from Jolene. I think I'm going to include, well, Shelley has it all.
Yeah. Do you want to include, yeah, she has all the reports, so the report from G and everything.
Right, it's all good.
Yep.
So, but, right, these are good conditions,
Right. Alright. Motion to approve IW 24-9 submitted by, actually, it's Housatonic Valley Association to construct rock steps up the stream channel to restore aquatic organism passage from the Chippewa River to Kirby Brook. We are per reference plans dated, see, we have an updated site plan with a letter of response dated July 10th, 2024. It includes a determination letter from Connecticut DEP dated 9/12/2023. There is, let's see, the response letter, July 10th, and pages 1 through 7 of the Housatonic Valley Association Trout Unlimited plans, originally dated March 2020, revised June of 2024. This permit is valid for 5 years and is subject to the following conditions. 1, that the land use office be notified at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of work so the wetlands enforcement officer can inspect and approve the erosion control measures. 2, that the property owner gives the contractor copies of both the motion of approval and approved plans prior to the commencement of work. 3, the approval of this permit is conditioned upon the performance and completion of all proposed activities and or improvements in totality to the satisfaction of the Inland Wetlands Commission. There shall not be any modification of any kind of the plans and or scope, sequence of the proposed activities and or improvements shown on the approved plans without prior approval of the Inland Wetlands Commission or its designee. 4, other conditions that the enforcement officer and IWC chair shall be on site the day proposed work is set to begin. This is aside from the required start card that needs to be submitted. That a daily photo journal shall be compiled. And also
And
that,
sent to
oh,
me.
and sent daily to the enforcement officer. And prior to any work starting, the first selectman's office must be notified a week prior to commencement of any work. Okay. In approving this permit application, the commission has considered all the relevant criteria pursuant to sections 11.02, 11A, and 12.08 of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Regulations, and finds that the proposed regulated activities as presented on the plans and conditioned herein are not reasonably likely to lead to significant adverse impacts on any wetlands and watercourses.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you folks were all set.
Thank
very
you all so
much.
much. Thanks for your patience, and we'll be in touch soon. And
Have a
I guess
great evening.
we'll look for the official permit with the conditions at some point from the land use office.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much
Thank
again.
you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We've been moving on to Manuel, we're tabling that.
Yes, I will request that he email me a additional request to an additional 35 days. I think I put down, what is it?
7/31 it ends.
Well, that's of his 30 days, I think 65 days total. And I have some paper here. 65.
That equals, last is August 21st.
Okay. Got one more meeting, I
Yes,
think.
okay, got one more meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Arthur Holland for sure, 37 Poplar Swamp.
Thank you. Representing the applicant, Shirley. This is for a closed 5-lot subdivision. Since the last meeting, we walked the site.
Is this the revised, from what we looked at, or is this the same with that?
No,
right?
same, like we said, it's the same.
Okay.
Same that it is, and we understand that we have to come before you whenever there's any
Okay.
activity associated.
Okay.
Any regulated area, which is that front area that we talked about.
Anybody have any further questions regarding the subdivision? I think it was pretty straightforward.
Well, one spot, like you said, or I believe you said, you talked about moving the driveway actually a little bit out of the wetlands on that sort to the
Yeah,
right there.
so this area where wetland flag is. And utilize the existing farm road to route the village.
We approve this subdivision according to the plan. You have this stuff.
Yes. Okay, motion to approve IW 24-38 for a proposed subdivision submitted by A.H. Howland at 37 Popple Swamp Road, per reference plan from June 20th, Popple Swamp Plan subdivision. SC1, EC1, Rec 1, SC1, SC2, 3, SC4, SC5, dated June 19th, 2024, and sheet sub D1, sub 2, dated March 7th, 2024, from A.H. Howland. This permit is valid for 2 years and is subject to the following conditions. One, that the land use officer be notified at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of work, so the wetlands enforcement officer can inspect and approve the erosion control measures. The property owner gives the contractor copies of both the motion of approval and approved plans prior to commencement of work. 3, the approval of this permit is conditioned upon the performance and completion of all proposed activities and or improvements in totality. The satisfaction of the Inland Wetlands Commission, there shall not be any modification of any kind to the plans and or scope sequence of the proposed activities and or improvements shown on the approved plans without prior approval of the Inland Wetlands Commission or its designee. In approving this permit application, the commission has considered all the relevant criteria pursuant to sections 11.02, 11A, and 12.08 of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Regulations, and finds that the proposed regulated activities as presented on the plans conditioned herein are not reasonably likely to lead to significant adverse impacts on any wetlands and watercourses.
All in favor?
Okay.
Okay. Cardinal Engineering?
Right.
Keep this, or just hold it and,
Well, whatever easier for you.
There are more treats over there.
It doesn't help. Well, you just figured if you might have been a treat.
Probably.
I'm Rick Sealy, professional engineer with Cardinal Engineering, representing the owner and 2 properties at for the Aquatuck Animal Hospital located at 278 the Beaufort Turnpike. Quickly, what we're proposing here is what started this project is the building. There's a small parking area here in the front, the dog grooming facility, and the main driveway, the main parking thing here for the customers, and then there's a small 6-space gravel parking lot up here at this corner, and there's a gravel drive that connects the main parking lot with that gravel drive, and a 30-inch corrugated metal pipe that carries the brook across the drive. And what the owner would like to do is expand the existing 6-space gravel lot and add another 7 space. But still be all gravel. Also, as part of the project, we decided to look at the existing corrugated metal pipe, and it's in poor condition, so we're going to propose to replace the existing pipe with a reinforced 30-inch reinforced with flare ends, rip wrap, snow protection. And what we'll do is, I don't think it's thoroughly explained in our sequence. It's the existing pipe. I know you can't really see it here, but it's here. And we'll keep that pipe open while we install the new pipe, so bypass wouldn't be necessary. Once the new pipe is in, then we can remove the old pipe. And total approximately 800 square feet of temporary and permanent wetlands. I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at our original plan. This is the revised plan. So the original plan called for a great deal of filling at this corner. At this corner, the proposed lot is a fill of approximately 3 feet, which resulted in us following this steep slope down to net grade. So starting with a 3-foot fill, but then chasing the grade down, considerable amount. So at the site meeting last week, it was asked that we relook at plans, see what we do to reduce the amount of fill in that. And what we did is we kind of angled the parking lot, get it further away from the wetlands. And we lowered this corner, so there's absolutely no fill required on that slope. The purpose of that was to maintain the existing vegetation. The second thing that was asked is that we added stockpile there. And the third thing that was asked was to include some sort of bioswale at the toe of the slope. Unfortunately, what happens with this is it ends up with the grading to install, so you try to install a trench on the steep slope, is you end up grading the area that we took the effort of regrading the parking lot to save gets all disturbed. So that's something, you know, like to discuss with you, we can do it, yeah, we don't have a problem with doing it. What we try to make, limit the amount of grading, try to keep it as far away from the wetlands as possible. Wall made of gabions, hold back the slope. The high point is not 11-foot high wall, which I realized after that we rushed to get this plan, and we will need some kind of protective fence. Fall 11 feet, it's not shown here. But we certainly did that. But I think we addressed your the concerns brought up at the sidewalk. I don't know if anyone else has, or anyone has any other comments or.
Can I ask, so are you basically saying that because you reduced the grade, so we don't have the fill, the cut and
Right.
fill and everything, so that we're not affecting that whole swatch of you know, vegetation, all that green, even though some of it's invasive, which would be nice to get rid of that, some of it, that perhaps we don't, that the bioswale now is more disruptive to the whole green
Right,
swath.
right, it defeats the whole purpose of lowering the grades. Yeah. I mean, again, if we left the grades as it was, and then tried to put the bioswale, then I think the more impact, we might have to shift it down the hill a little closer to the wetlands. Try not to do any grading at all, it would be the wetlands pristine, but there are ways to reduce the area, but not significantly. We can also put gabions in on the front, the low side, and would eliminate the sloping down into the pond, which is save about 6 disturbance. But I like
Keep the
about,
grade of the parking lot,
what's that?
but you would be able to keep the grade of the parking lot.
Yeah, keep the grade of the parking lot, but instead of this, you know, we hold those, this contour here, put in a row of gabions on this side, which reduces all that sloping down into the pond, which would save, again, approximately 6 feet. Not a huge difference. But I think in terms of the plan, it would be a greater difference. And what I like about gabion is that it allows water to infiltrate. Not the prettiest sight, but I think it.
The protective fence wouldn't need any concrete or anything like that in posts, right? It would just be like post driven in the ground.
We could do it that way, but typically we use concrete, especially because you have the gabion wall. And you just want to be able to make sure that if you move up against it, there's something there to. And the fence would come out. And we lowered the grade here, obviously, the grade that's. And I should also mention is that, as you all know, that there's a second project going on at the same time. The existing septic system is here. There is, but it's failing. It's a failing septic system. Right now, currently contractors constructing the septic system. And then once that's complete, the old system will be.
There's, I
That'll
don't,
be a different application. right?
outside of the.
It's outside of
upland
review.
The
area.
removal of the, okay.
It's outside.
Oh, you mean, well, I think when they do the parking lot, the new system's outside.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
talking, when he said the removal of the old.
Is that on this application to remove?
No, we had it, assuming he was going to do,
That would be a separate.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be on this one?
Yeah,
well, we can include it in this application. You know, it's a separate project, but it's.
right. It should be part of the same.
Yeah,
So we'll need that.
We say it's gonna be removed just by others, but it's still going to be removed, so.
Okay, so if it's gonna be on this application, so it should be part of the application with the sequence of how it's gonna be done.
I think it's in the sequence, I'm not positive.
Don't they crush them in place now, isn't that, didn't we run into that over on Baldwin Hill, like Calhoun, because it was like
The
deep?
tanks.
The tank,
Yeah,
Tanks get crushed.
yeah.
Yeah, we're replacing the tanks and the pump.
Right, and I hadn't noticed it before, I don't know why, but in the corner, we have a proposed concrete pad. So
Right.
that's a new concrete pad that's going to be poured.
Right, right, that's for the dumpster. That's what
Oh, yeah,
we're
that's
locating the dumpster from this corner here, away from the well, a little bit, the dumpster, and it'll be a screening dumpster pad.
Because our concern is always when we're pouring concrete or the washout area,
Yep,
for the trucks will be, can you, we need to clarify, I mean, it needs to be clear to the concrete.
there will be no washing out of concrete on site.
okay.
Because I don't think there's an appropriate location to do that, that's outside with the grades that,
Right. It may not be,
And,
because we were thinking by other,
right,
we may not.
Sure.
include,
and where is the,
But we can.
and that's just gonna be regular fill, can be put back into that? The removal of all the old fields?
Right, right, and to be honest, I'm not sure how the old field is constructed. I think it's probably either orange or clay pipe. And, good records as far as I know, so it would probably be just trenching and removing the old pipes.
We need to know what that, we would need to know what they're calling it now.
Right.
well, since they're,
And
right,
then a-
or if you're doing the gravel driveway, whatever pipe you remove, you're probably filling with gravel. Because
Correct.
you're prepping
Yep.
for the parking area.
Right.
So that should just be clear. And then,
The
do
type
we,
of fill that they're gonna be putting back in, we can need the information and type of fill
And then the fence detail,
and what,
the fence detail.
the fence detail.
then do we want to talk about the bioswale? I mean, what do we think?
I agree that it's less disturbance to leave it. Like, because there was a bunch of like blackthorn,
Mm-hmm.
bunch of native trees there. Pretty compromised. I don't know what Larry was there, I don't know what his thoughts on that, but I agree that it's more disturbance to a bioswale than to leave the established trees there.
There's a lot of plant material there.
Yeah.
That really already absorbs,
Right,
Yeah.
Filter, yeah, right.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
It's good filter system.
let's leave.
Yeah.
Let's leave.
So we would remove the bioswale.
Larry? You have any questions?
No, I don't, Bob. The only issues that I have that I wasn't sure if it was addressed, I was having a bit of a hard time hearing. Was there was significant erosion on that road that crosses over that stream? On that, particularly on the downside, on the southern side of that road.
Mhm.
And there was material coming off that road into that stream. And we saw a huge, so I just want to make sure that that's protected quite well.
Well, according to, the septic contractor in a washout on Saturday storm and in previous storms as well. He thought that's what caused that erosion. Obviously, we're gonna rebuild that gravel roadway and repair any damage, any erosion.
And
Like I noted on the drawing, to repair, make those repairs, but the gravel drive is going to be replaced, because we are widening it.
Right.
Which is another reason why we're replacing the culvert.
And I think there was a notation to make sure that the size of the stone or the gravel that was being used was sizable enough to withstand any heavy
That's correct.
water flow.
It was written in that the crossing will be widened to 20 feet and the riprap that will be used shall have the size clarified.
Yeah, I added, modified.
And what is that, 4 to 6?
6 to 12.
6 to 12, okay. That's good, yeah.
Can we make sure that that's
Well, we're not gonna, he's gonna come back to.
right? No, but I'm saying that make sure that that is clear, because I see proposed riprap.
I think it's on the, other plan, that's the wetlands. I think it's on the.
Oh, is it?
Riprap. Yep.
Doesn't say modified?
No.
But I changed that.
No.
Okay.
That way we'll have everything.
Mhm. Chris? Well, we will see you in a couple of weeks then.
Yep,
Okay.
okay.
Your plan?
Try maybe the 3 hours.
Okay,
That's right.
great, thanks, Corey. Okay, Divista Engineering for Hollister House.
That's the applicant. Just here with me today. Any questions you might have for him? I submitted I actually have revised plans here. They're addressing the, so this will address the comments on the sidewalk. Also, at the last meeting. You asked about a concrete wash area, or showing it up in the parking lot area on the first sheet there. There's a concrete wash area on the plan there. Then on the reverse side here, the blow up side, we're showing a area that will be riprap, talked about the wetland, that wet area. Flag 44 and 43 we'll place down a woven fabric, then put riprap on top of that, just to protect that area, and that will be removed once the construction is completed. The area will be stored. We're also showing in 2 spots where we'll be entering, crossing the brook. We're showing the area down, get the vegetation out of there, put down a woven fabric, riprap on both those sides there, on the east side of the bridge, and then across the brook. Done up there, and then also we're showing planks across that little intermittent water course. We talked about the doing this in August. I'd like to wait until September. Weekend, September, after Labor Day, they have a large function. They want this place to be pristine. A lot of guests there, important people coming in for auditorium, and they want to make sure this area is not disturbed, hillside not disturbed. So I just do it right after the first week in after Labor Day, or after that party That's one thing.
About the 10th to the 11th.
So it's like the first full weekend.
It's a major fundraiser.
Right, so they like to do right after that period, so. And I think September still, it's not as wet as it would be like in the later fall, things like that, so. And I also updated the, sequence of construction, talk about photojournal, and then also removal of the aquatic life. Fish.
I think we still need a little more information on how that is going to be done. Removal of the aquatic life. You know, I mean, it's just a net in there. There are concerns of what is in there now as far as if there's typically any brook trout. Larry, do you have your paper in front of you? Do you want
Yeah.
to speak on that?
I'm looking for it right now, Bob.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Speak with the head gardener over at the garden there. And they have not seen any fish in that pond. They're out in the sunny or some minnows, and I've not seen any turtles in that area either. So Larry's comments on his additional thoughts about the project on July 18th aired. So those things are not hidden. You don't hit there. So. Go ahead, Larry.
Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, one of the, I mean, there were some concerns that just occurred to me. And one was the, you know, there's the potential for a number of organisms that are living in that stretch above, below, and in that stretch of water. And while we weren't able to identify a lot, but I feel like we need to, you know, to talk about it just a little bit because, you know, there are a number of turtles that will be living there. They lay their eggs from May to June, which, you know, and this would include eastern box turtles, snapping turtles, spotted turtles, wood turtles. They hibernate late October. And then also with the fish, whether it's brook trout or minnows, they have their own specific ways of laying eggs and when to spawn and so forth. And we did identify minnows. We didn't identify trout. However, I know there are trout in that stream. I've seen them. They exist, and that's not the. And we identified. I identified a number of dragonflies when I was there, and we could hear frogs and so on. The big concern, one of the concerns that I have is the whole how that dewatering is going to. I mean, how that is going to be stopped. How it's going to be dewatered, and then how that when the stream is redirected. Is that an open channel? Is that an open 6-inch channel? Or does it have screens or some sort of a screen on either side? And we're gonna have to be mindful of how much, you know, of how much when that water is being redirected, is it being directed right into the river, the stream bed? And what's that going to do? Is that going to create a very turbid mess? I mean, that's a possibility. I think that, and also the whole notion of the concept of creating pools and shrinking those pools and capturing whatever organisms are in there by net and relocating them. I just feel like if captured pools are going to be created, should that be done by someone who has had experience doing that? That was just another thought that I had. Trying to think of what else came to mind. I can't find my notes.
Larry, looking at your notes, like one of the questions was about that pipeline, is if organisms can make their way through the pump. That was like a big, so that if something gets in there, like a little minnow or whatever, that it could get through there. I think that was like one of your main, is that accurate?
Well, mineral will get pushed through there, but
Yeah.
it's not being chopped up.
Yeah, that was, I
It's
think,
not,
yeah.
it's not a grinding pump, it's
Yeah.
a suction pump, so they'll suction. It may suck up some of the minerals or smaller flooding and dump it around the backside of the downhill side of the dam itself. Water is being pumped around it and it's going into, if you went down below the dam there, it's a lot of rock down there, a lot of riprap, a lot of large rocks in that area there. So it's being splashed out into that, so it's not causing any more erosion than what's causing right now when the water's going to the dam. Did some research, why we're doing this is to improve the quality of the pond itself. On trout, they like, colder water.
Mhm.
This water is very shallow. Trout will like deeper water. So really not going to be by us improving it, may bring in the trout. There again, I'm not a fisherman. About what my clients, gardeners are saying, that they've seen fish in that area. So again, by dredging this out, we're improving the water quality. Trout do like a gravel bottom. On the bottom, they break stuff like that. That's a bucket. So really don't know this spawning area. As far as the turtles don't actually lay their eggs in the water. They'll lay it on an upland area, something like that, marshy area, things like that. The turtles maybe tackle turtles in there, but painter turtle we can make like and stuff like that. Eastern box turtle or the spotted turtles, they may not be in this area. So I did check the natural diversity database, and there's others, but not in our specific.
I've never seen anything in the 45 years I've been in there in the way of turtles except snapper turtles. I haven't seen those for several years. I think they need deeper water. That pond is filled in with a lot of sediment. They seem to have just disappeared.
The question we had is that we didn't really know what was in there. Yeah.
Do you know how long it'll take to drain that area down, like as far as like photojournal, like getting?
Well, that's what we're proposing to do. We
Yeah.
propose to do that. Talking to the contractor, probably Dave, to lower that water, below it from the dam, once you dam it up
Mhm.
on the uphill side to the system, probably like a day.
Okay.
Lower it down. And then by that, but everything flowing down to the existing dam down there. So water could be, as the water pumped out, it's very quickly the low spot. And that's where in that area there. And that's where we're going to bucket it. Take it, catch them, put it into the bucket of pond water, and then bring it up to the north side of the existing there until such time that we get the water back in that area.
We're talking that location where you expect that the lowest pit where everything's going to end up. Whatever's still living is
Like a
going
dam
to
there?
flow in there. The distance of that to the other side of the dam is about how many feet?
From here to here?
Yeah.
10, 20 feet.
So literally putting it in a bucket and then carrying it there is going to be a matter of just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
Or
probably.
we can bring them down here, or we can bring them back up to the uphill side, and then they go back down into the pond itself.
Oh, when you pull that, then they re-enter.
Right,
where they
correct.
were from. Yeah, okay.
But there's a drop at the concrete dam.
Right,
it's rocky.
It's all rocky in that area,
Yeah.
so it's not like a pond like we have here. So if you put up here's a ponded area right now,
Yeah.
so that will let the water better for the quite like we have on this side.
So
Yeah.
they can put it there,
Right.
but you have a pump,
We can put a screen around it or do something. We
so
can
they don't,
protect.
right, because I mean, it would sort of defeat.
Correct. Yeah. But we certainly can put a screen around this area, do something. Maybe like a snow fence with like a chicken wire around, something like that. Support, things like that.
That's fine. Add that to the plan. Larry, you good with that?
Yes.
Larry, does that make more sense going upstream with them and then keeping them there as opposed to over the dam? 'Cause the dam is pretty rocky over there. I don't think like any fish would do well down there.
No, I don't think.
Then when, survive the
Yeah.
fall.
I,
Go ahead, Larry.
yeah, I would like to have, I'd like to see it, I'd like to see how the process, I mean, I'd like to see it kind of spelled out, how that process is going to, when the process of moving, relocating organisms from point A to point B.
It's written on the plan, Larry.
Oh, I don't
It's
have,
on the plan.
Why don't you?
He just gave us new ones,
Yeah.
right?
oh, okay, I don't have
So
those.
I can, did you?
I'll get him,
send-
I'll get him tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll send you the PDF tomorrow, Larry.
Okay, and I can also stop down and get it tomorrow. I'll be up there.
Okay, that's fine. Mhm.
Thank you. Um,
And if we're gonna do this in after September 15th, is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Big fundraiser for us.
So we're gonna have to, make sure that like 2 or 4 days, there's no rain prior to this, and we still have low flow.
Yeah.
Condition.
Maybe you can, yeah, the screening thing, just to, because chicken wire sounds a little harsh to me.
That's okay, but
I don't know, no, I would think that would be easy enough to research to just determine what, someone has done this before, so there's probably a good medium to
right,
use.
what I'm thinking, like when you see the, when they're protecting, from beavers, they like a wire around the pole itself, that would be, you're at like that, I'm thinking something like that.
When do we want to approve this now? Do we want to see it added to the plan?
I think there's enough things that need to be. I don't know, I think there's enough things to be added that we could, but wait till the next meeting, so it's complete and it won't impact your schedule.
What else, would that, let me look at the screen, what else are you looking for? If that's one thing, I mean, I addressed everything else that you talked about.
I'm gonna change it to September.
It's gonna be changed to September, a photo journal.
Photojournals daily.
Daily.
Yeah, well, that's on the plan.
Basically, that's one thing that needs to be added to the plan. In the sequence of that, you're gonna wait 3 to 4 days. Yeah, you receive the construction.
Days, the
Number of days prior to the start of work, to make sure that it's dry.
Can these be conditions of approval or we're gonna wait?
We're gonna wait till it's on the plan, the
Okay.
screening part of it.
Yeah, the screening detail.
It should be pretty quick. The next meeting.
Okay. Good. Okay, very good.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, guys. Okay. Okay. And, we have a new application, for Saving Landscape Architects, 274 North on Hollow Road. I'll accept this application tonight, schedule a site walk. How is next Tuesday? For everybody at 4 o'clock? Do we know the date of that, Chris?
That would be the 30th, sorry.
It'll be the 30th? Okay, 4 PM. Can let Sam know
Mhm.
on the 30th sidewalk. Okay. Under other business, last week we received a letter from Kate Carrot and Jeff Leather wanted to know regarding work being done on Winkler Road. They're concerned about the wetlands on the property. And what I'm gonna ask is I'm gonna ask Shelley to contact Kevin and to go out there and inspect the property to see if there's gonna be any impact on the property. And to come back to us with a report and also to let Jim Britton know as well.
Is that the big one on Hinkle?
The upper road from Shearer Road down to Sunny Valley Road.
Yep.
They're owners of the Potter Farm. And they're concerned about the runoff the road going to be paved. And they were concerned about the runoff going into their wetlands. So I'd like to know how far away the wetlands are.
Okay.
And if Shelley can put that on her schedule
Mhm.
and then get back to us. Okay. And moving on, we go to the enforcement.
So yeah, I'll give, it's only monthly, so that'll be next meeting.
Okay, very good. Okay, administrative business appointment of Shelley as our new Casio Wetlands Enforcement Officer. Welcome to that.
Mhm.
Thank you for doing that. Okay,
You want to vote?
I think you should probably make a motion. I think you should make a motion and hopefully nobody denies it, otherwise you're screwed.
motion please, motion to approve Shelley as our new CEO Casio.
Enforcement officer, yeah.
Enforcement Officer.
I'm making a motion to approve the appointment of Shelley White as our and wetland enforcement officer as
Thank you.
of July
24th.
24.
2024.
Thank you.
How many years was like that?
You second that? Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, communications correspondence, we received a letter from Jim Kelly regarding possible violations at 4 Perkins Road. I will accept that letter and I will direct Shelley to go out there and review the site and to review the plans and again, come back to the commission with a report for us on going forwards to see what we need to look at and review.
Can we be heard, Mr. Chairman? Briefly?
Just so you know, so as far as our council goes, he did spell out a difference between civil, what would be a civil issue. And, since the changing of the guards, I as part of a inland wetlands permit, I have the right to go on the property. So I am going to be going on the property, comparing what was approved, what was not, what is existing. I am still waiting for an as-built for the drainage, etc. I would like this to be rectified outside of any kind of court or anything, but I have to do the enforcement. I'm going to go through the enforcement process. So if you want to talk about I mean, I do have your information.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
don't
gonna
mind
look in
seeing
that.
specifics. I just
Yeah.
want to make a very general comment to the commission, if I may. And I
Okay.
So
promise
that-
it'd be-
That's fine.
I believe everybody in this room left is here for this issue. And without in any way blaming the commission. The time in which you have not had an enforcement officer has caused a significant problem for everybody in this room. The Becks are here as well as the neighbors and the lenders whom I represent. And so it, to the point that the letters, and I know I'm the only one on the agenda, but there are other people who have submitted letters, and I'm not here to villainize the Becks. They've suffered from the lack of any communication by an agent, an enforcement agent of this commission with them to resolve these things for the period of months that you haven't had an EO. I'm just suggesting to the commission, I think Shelley is very capable, and but she is now 5 minutes old as a wetlands enforcement officer. And so I would at least ask the commission to be open to assisting her in this, maybe by having a hearing and letting all these good people at least be heard, letting the Becks respond to it as well. We will certainly use the time in between to try and communicate and come to some sort of agreement. But if Shelley just answered reasonably the inquiries of the people who are concerned, she's not gonna have anything else to do for the next 7 days. So it's, and that's not, I'm not pointing fingers, that's just a function of the fact of how long you have not had an enforcement officer who can be doing that job. So I'm hopeful that the commission would be open to the public hearing, letting these people be heard, and then you can give advice or not give advice to Shelley, however you feel.
So I would like to, just address that we've been told that the Inland Wetlands Commission and me as an enforcement officer can regulate what's happening on the site and and the body of water that it's impacting, not necessarily the neighboring properties. Okay, so I do want to look into those pictures that the Risings have sent and the lenders have sent. I want to look at those outlets that are going into the lake and kind of, I'll get my wellies on and I'll go and trek up there and see where all of these are coming
I'm
from.
happy to follow up with you tomorrow in your
Okay.
office, and I'm sure everybody else understands that they have the right to do the same. My point is, the only thing my clients are requesting, and my letter is pretty clear about that, is a transparent process to getting this work done and the permits closed. And that requires, and there's so many permits on there, that requires an assemblage of all of the permits, of all of the work on them, identifying what has been done, identifying what maybe still hasn't been done, identifying maybe things that are close but not quite to within the approvals and need to be modified. Whether that happens by Shelley having to do that or by voluntary, submissions of the Becks or anyone else. My client's goal is to just get a transparent process where everything can be reviewed and commented on before the project is closed and the work is done. So, and I'm just expressing a concern that this is an awful lot to put onto somebody who is also the land use agent and the CEO, and now the report. I think she can very much get a handle on it and report back to you in 2 weeks. But I would just ask you to be open to at least letting some people be heard in a public meeting by this commission, because you have a lot of people here who are so concerned that they've just sat through an hour and a half of meetings to be told we can't speak.
And I will offer my assistance to you if needed.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think that's it. Motion to adjourn. Okay. Thank you, everybody.